If you think websites are dead, you're sitting on opportunities and probably money. I know we're in 2026, everyone's talking about social media, AI, short form video, personal brands, and whatever the next shiny marketing strategy is this week. So, why am I still talking about websites? Because I think a lot of business owners are overlooking what a good website can actually do for them and their business. And I'm not just talking about having a pretty website that's just sitting there, right? I'm talking about having something like a true website that can help strangers discover your business, understand what you do, decide that you're the right fit, and take the next step to want to work with you. So, this is why I'm raving about website because it works for me whether I'm working with a client or I'm inside my academy or cleaning my cat's litter box, taking a walk in the forest on a Thursday afternoon at 2:34 p.m. That's always working for me. And that's what I think most people forget when they're talking about modern marketing. So, today I want to talk to you about why I still think your website is one of the most useful assets you can have in your business, why SEO and copywriting need to work together, and why simply having a website is not enough. Let's dive in. If most of your clients currently come from referrals or when you're actively posting on social media or going to networking events, I totally get what you'd wonder why you even need a website. However, these three ways of getting clients are not predictable. You can never guess when someone is going to refer you, and also what happens if you stop posting or showing up to networking events. Even if so far you've been lucky enough for your name to be mentioned and you've been consistent enough to see results from your effort, if poop hits the fan, then what? And I'm not saying this to scare you, right? But let's be real. What happens when you take a holiday, when you're too busy to post or go to networking events, or when a loved one needs your full attention for support? This thought is scary to me. And that's why I can relax knowing my website's got my back. Now, I'm not saying that you need a fancy website with super modern animations and a full brand photo shoot with 15 pages. What I'm saying is that even a simple minimalist website that can get you found and that's written to turn strangers from the internet into clients is enough. Because people are still using Google, right? They look for service providers, practice owners like you, and even if they use AI, guess what? The foundations to be found on Google and AI are the same. So you have one tool, your website, that gets you found by different search tools while you're doing literally anything else. Referrals are great until they slow down. And I will never deny that referrals are one of the best ways to get clients. Someone who already knows you, they like you, they trust you, they tell someone that you can help them, that person arrives already half sold and confident in your work, and you didn't have to lift an extra finger. That's super cool. But the problem is that building your entire client acquisition system around something you cannot control is risky. You can never tell when someone will recommend you, and even if they do, you cannot control if those people will actually take action and get in touch with you. 1 month everything is working well, then silence and you freak out, which is totally understandable. But having a website that's constantly ready to bring in new eyeballs on your expertise is the best way to solve this problem. And even when people hear about you from a friend, they will want to check you out. I do that myself. Well, obviously, right? One day I was looking for a permanent makeup artist. You guys, I can't see chisel and had to stick my nose to the mirror to put my eyeliner on. So I asked around me, and even if someone recommended one makeup artist to me, I still went to check her out. I wanted to see if the right words were on her website. Well, hygiene being one of them, right? Because we're talking about tattoo, right? And of course, if she was legit, with general terms and conditions and business registration number. She did, so I went ahead. If she didn't have a website, I would never have gone. I would never have called her. So, you see, this is why your website has a role to play even if word of mouth is working well for you. Now, about social media. You know how I feel about social media. It's a great tool, but it cannot carry your whole business. I will never say that you need to quit social media tomorrow or that social media marketing is dead. That's not true. Social media can be a great place to build relationships, show your expertise, start conversations. You can find clients, but also collaboration opportunities. So, yes, 100% it's useful. However, if your entire marketing system depends on regularly creating new posts to remain visible, you've created a hamster wheel, not a stable client acquisition system. Just like a hamster wheel moves if the hamster is making it move, your social media based client acquisition system will only work if you're making it work. And that's exhausting, especially if you're not enjoying it. Ask me how I know, right? And even if people discover you on social media, they will want to check your website. And that's what was happening to my client Erica. Erica is a social media manager and agency owner. For 5 years, her website visitors were coming from social media. So, in other words, they were coming from her own manual, daily, constant efforts. She joined my Sold Out SEO Academy, followed my homepage copy and SEO optimization template, and that same week, she got her 5 first visitors from Google, which had never happened before. So that's an extra way of getting visitors, inquiries, and of course, clients. So that's one of the many reasons why I cannot shut up about websites and SEO. Over a decade ago, I built my first website because I wanted a business that didn't depend on me constantly being online. And I actually fired my web developer because I had to depend on them for the slightest change. No thanks, let me do my thing like when I want. I want to be in control, which is also why I teach my clients how to be independent with their marketing system. Because waiting on someone to be available when you need to launch something sucks. But I digress. Back to topic. I've never wanted to become a content creator, right? Back then, social media wasn't what it is today, but it was already not my cup of tea. And at the time, I hadn't not even heard about accounts being deleted for no reason or about people losing their followers or their businesses just like that. Because, like I said, it was not like it is today. So the recent algorithm changes definitely didn't make me change my mind. I've always wanted a website that can keep working while I'm working with my clients, going for a walk in the forest on a Thursday afternoon at 2:34 p.m., or taking care of my pets. That desire to have something working 24/7 in the background and knowing there was another way than depending on platforms whose policies make me cringe was what led me deeper into SEO. And all of the that I've just said is part of the reasons why I created Sold Out SEO, my academy, right? Because to me, the answer to getting more clients should never be post more. It should be have an optimized website that gets you found by strangers 24/7. And of course, what happens when they land on your website is equally important as getting them to find you in the first place. Because even if now we have more modern ways of doing marketing, people still research before they buy. This hasn't changed. So your website can bring them in. And let me show you the difference between these two situations. First situation, someone comes across your LinkedIn post or Instagram or whatever, right? Social media post, and thinks, sounds interesting. They keep scrolling because they're not looking for your services right now or ever. We don't know. Maybe they're actually sitting on the toilet passing time. Second situation, someone who types, for example, SEO copywriter for service businesses into Google because they are actively looking for help. The first person is looking for entertainment. The second person has already identified a problem and is looking for a solution. If your website appears in search results, it has a chance to introduce your business even if they had never ever heard of you before. And that's why having a website that's properly optimized for search is my favorite thing in marketing. Because having a website doesn't mean you're visible online or going to get found by the right people indeed. If your website isn't getting found and therefore isn't getting many visitors, what's the point? The most common reaction is to think, I need more visitors, so I will pay for ads. But you don't want more visitors for the sake of it. The goal is to get found by the right people when they are actually looking for something you can help them with. Therefore, getting found is only the first step. The second step is having a website that has useful and clear content. So once someone knows you exist and lands on your website, they still need to decide if they trust you enough to take the next step. And most service purchases require a minimum of research. That was my dog snoring. When you need a lawyer, a therapist, an accountant, a vet, a consultant, whatever, right? You tend to spend more time researching before deciding who to trust. People will therefore look throughout your website, read your reviews, your blog, and basically look for evidence that you've worked with people like them. And they may even ask an AI platform about the options available to them and compare. That's why having a website goes beyond being visible. It's part of the research process that your potential clients go through before they decide who to contact. So your job is to give the right people enough useful information to move from I found this business to I think this could be the right service provider for me. And that means your content needs to be useful and clear. So what do I mean by useful? Well, your website must answer the questions that people are already asking. It should be written around your target client, their problems, their needs, their desires, not around what you want to talk about and from your own perspective. As a business owner, you know your industry, your expertise, how your process works, but a total stranger who's looking for a solution to their problem doesn't. So you want your website to make it easy for them to see that they are in the right place, and I'm going to show you 3 ways to do that. The first way is that your main pages should answer what I call the 4W questions. Question 1 is, what is this page about? Question 2, who is this for? 3, why should they keep reading? Basically, what's in it for them? What results they can expect from this page, this service? And number 4, what should they do next? Meaning you need to have a clear call to action button, not just, for example, learn more. Your visitor shouldn't have to scroll halfway through your page to figure out whether they've landed in the right place. The second way is to create content around what your ideal clients want to know. So beyond your main pages, you will have more chances to get found if you have a blog. You can write articles that answer the questions your clients are already asking, like daily, the most, for example. And you can also research popular topics in your industry and share your opinion, like debunking myths, showing your thought leadership, or sharing unpopular opinions that bring value to your clients. Not just because you fancy talking about such or such topic. And even if you do, always make sure to orient the angle so that it's useful for your reader. And the third way is to write for strangers. And this is something I see very few people do. Write for strangers. Most websites I audit, or even when I visit for my own personal use, are written for people who already know the business. But the goal of your website is to bring in strangers from the internet into your world so you can have more clients. So you need to talk to your ideal client who is a total stranger at this point. Therefore, beyond the 4W questions, that's for the top section of each page, your website as a whole needs to answer what your business actually helps them with, if this service is relevant to their situation, what happens if they work with you, what they can expect, if this has worked for someone in their exact situation, how much help will they get, why should they trust you, what happens after they inquire, and what if they have tried something else already but it hasn't worked? And what if they're not sure if this is right for them? This is crucial for humans, of course, because people don't buy services they don't understand. And this is also very important for your SEO because they give search engines useful information about your business and content. And when I say search engines, I also include AI search because these systems need clear, useful information to understand what your business does and when it may be relevant to a particular query. And this is why SEO and copywriting go together as well as coffee and croissant. Which leads us to the next point. Your website messaging should be clear and easy to understand. So I get it that you're the expert, you know your industry jargon, your target clients don't. So if they land on a website that's full of your industry language, they won't feel included. They will feel that you're talking at them, not to them. So if you look around my website, 98% of my copy has no marketing jargon. The 2 or 3 blog articles that do contain jargon are written that way intentionally in case someone is already aware of this language, but my ideal client is not a marketer who knows what ranking, impressions, CTR, or converting really mean. I want non-marketing strangers to feel like they've landed in the right place. So in order for your website copy to be clear, always keep in mind that you're talking to a stranger and that you need to include them to invite them into your world. You want to make them feel a connection with you, but more importantly, beyond being relatable, you want to show that you can lead them out of their situation. So I want to share 2 other things to keep in mind. Specificity and results, and I'm tackling them together because they are intertwined. If your homepage says something like, "Welcome to my little corner of the internet," that's cute, but someone who's looking for a therapist at 1:32 a.m. because they just had an anxiety attack doesn't give a flying croissant, right? What do you actually do for that person? And if your website says something like helping you step into your next level, cool. But next level of what? Are we talking about mindset? Are we talking about business? And which next level are we talking about? Do you even know what level they are at when they land? And then there is the classic sales page that gives you the name of the service, a long description of what's included, and a button saying book now. But the visitor is still wondering whether the service is going to solve their problem and what type of results they can expect. So this is where clear website copy matters, and your copy should connect the service you provide to the problem your potential client wants solved. Explain the outcome in a language they understand without jargon or fluff, and be specific enough that they can picture themselves getting that result. Make the next step obvious so they don't have to guess if they need to book a call, apply, or contact you first, nor what's going to happen once they do. And also give them enough information to decide if they want to take that step in the first place. So I'm going to say it again. SEO helps someone find your business. Your copy makes them understand why they should stay and work with you. You need both. And that's why I teach both. So now you might say, yeah, but Morgane, I have already tried SEO and it didn't work. And I understand how frustrating that is. But before you throw the SEO with the whole website under a bus, let me ask you what you mean by tried SEO. Did you hire someone? If yes, did they research your business, your industry, and ask you questions? Did you have your website done by a designer who specifically did SEO? Because web design and SEO optimization are not the same thing. Not all designers do SEO, not all SEO experts write sales copy, and not all copywriters do SEO, just like not all SEO experts design websites. These are three different jobs. I happen to do two of them. Did you try to do it yourself after watching YouTube tutorials? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, you have your answer. That doesn't mean SEO doesn't work for your business, because to this day, I haven't seen a single industry for which SEO doesn't work. So maybe your SEO strategy wasn't connected to the rest of your marketing, because there's a big difference between inserting a few keywords into a page and having a website that clearly tells search engines what you do, who you serve, where it's relevant, and which problems you solve, which topics you have genuine expertise in. There is also a difference between getting visitors and getting the right visitors. 100 visitors who have no interest in buying your service are not particularly useful. But 10 people actively looking for the service you provide is much more valuable. So good SEO is about making your website useful, understandable, and relevant to the searches your potential clients are actually making. And obviously bringing in clients 24/7, right? And another thing that your website needs to do is to speak to people in different phases of their buying journey. So let me explain. Not everyone who lands on your website is ready to take action and solve their problem. Some are discovering that they have a problem, so they are in the awareness phase. Others already know that they need and Others already know what they need and are comparing their options. They are in the consideration phase. And some have basically decided they want help and are looking for the right person. So they are in the conversion phase, meaning they are ready to be converting from a visitor into a client. And your website ideally needs to support all three. Let's dive deeper into each. Awareness is when people search for the problem they're facing. What causes it? They ask a question, look for information. This is where useful blog content can introduce you and your services. For example, they may search something like, how do I get more clients without social media? Or why isn't my website attracting clients? If you have website content that's useful and addressing that problem, your website has a chance to make them stay and want to know more about your business and solutions. They may read one article and leave. Maybe they will want to download your freebie, your free resource, or book a call. And maybe they will silently leave to eventually come back later. The point is that you have started building visibility with someone who may eventually need your service. The consideration phase. Well, at this phase, the person understands the problem and is looking at possible solutions. Your website needs to help them consider you, right? Your service pages, case studies, testimonials, about page, and any content all have a role, right? This is where clear expertise becomes important, because if someone cannot tell who you help, what you will have them achieve, or why your approach is relevant to them, they have no reason to choose you over the next business in their search results. But of course, you don't need to convince everyone. You want to make it easy for the right people to recognize that you're a good fit. And now the conversion phase, it's when someone is ready to take action, so they already know and trust you at least to some degree. They may simply need one final question answered before they pay you. Your website should make that next step easy with a clear call to action. And your copy should give people enough information to move forward without making them hunt for basic answers. And this is where all the work that you've done earlier in the journey starts paying off. To conclude, your website should work when you are not. This is the part that I will always rave about because I don't want a marketing system that requires me to be available every hour of the day. If any marketing action is not serving me at least 2 weeks from now, I have no interest in doing it. I want useful things that I've created to continue doing their job after I've closed my laptop, and obviously, a well-optimized website does that. Someone can find a blog post at 11:42 p.m. when they cannot fall asleep, read your service page on a Sunday morning, discover your business while you're working with another client, and basically choose to work with you while you're asleep. And all that without you having to personally explain your entire business from scratch every time. Your website is supposed to handle some of the work for you, so you don't have to always repeat the same things or constantly be active. So now you might ask, when should I invest in my website? So my honest answer is that there are two best moments: from day one of your business or now. And you may be at the point where your service is established, but your inquiries are not consistent. Maybe you're struggling to communicate your expertise online, or you may simply want to build something that gives your business a better chance of getting found without requiring you to publish constantly. So yeah, if you don't have a website yet, I would advise you to go and start building it, or hire someone, right? And if you do have one, and it's not bringing in inquiries or clients right now, I would recommend that you learn SEO and sales copy so you're independent in your marketing. Then later you can always hire someone, but I do believe it's always best to know how to do it before delegating, especially if you're a solopreneur or a small business owner. And this is why I created Sold Out SEO. Service providers and practice owners who want their website to become a more reliable source of clients are welcome. The program brings together the two areas that need to work together: SEO and sales-focused website copy. Because as we saw, you can get found and still lose the sale if your website doesn't explain why someone should choose you. And great copy doesn't help much if the people who need it cannot find the website in the first place. So inside Sold Out SEO, you learn how to optimize your website so the right people can find you, write copy that turns those right people, visitors basically, into inquiries and clients, create content that shows your expertise to humans, but also to Google and AI platforms, and build marketing assets that you own and that can keep working long after you've published them. The Academy covers the full process, and you're never alone. You get feedback on homework you submit, including website copy, obviously, content, free resource, technical SEO within 48 hours maximum, usually it's less. There are weekly live calls plus guest expert trainings, and you don't need to be a technical SEO specialist or a professional writer to do it. The goal is to give you practical steps so that you can actually implement all of that on your own website with relevant explanations that make sense for where you are in your business. So the link for Sold Out SEO is in the description of this podcast. And if you want to make sure that Sold Out SEO is the right fit for you, I will also drop my link for a free call. No obligation, no salesy tactics, just an honest conversation to see if that's the good fit for your business or not. So thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.